Privacy collapse. An in-depth look into the erosion of anonymity, the economic battlefield, and survival tactics in the digital era of 2026. The crisis of the privacy collapse in 2026 is no longer a matter of being watched through a keyhole. Rather, it is akin to being bathed in an invisible yet immensely powerful radiation of data. Among the most harrowing technologies is eavesdropping via building structures and ambient light, a method known as Lamphone. This technology, an evolution of research by scientists at Ben Gurion University of the Negev in Israel, captures micron-level vibrations on the glass surface of an interior LED bulb. Utilizing high-performance electro-optical sensors, such as the Thorlabs PDA-100A2, a light signal amplifier connected to a telescope, attackers can intercept minute fluctuations in light waves caused by the air pressure of human speech. This principle effectively transforms a standard household bulb into a perfect wireless microphone. Even if you disable your phone's microphone or employ radio frequency jammers, you remain vulnerable. Statistics from cybersecurity centers indicate that such side-channel attacks boast an 85% accuracy rate in decoding voice messages via digital signal processing algorithms, even from a distance of over 25 meters. This vulnerability aligns with the Cyber Sentinel 2026 report, which found that flaws in Internet of Things (IoT) devices worldwide have surged by 300%. To grasp the gravity of this, one must understand that the heart of the problem lies not merely in software, but in hardware architecture. This is especially true for consumer-grade devices, smart CCTV, color-changing bulbs, or Wi-Fi-connected coffee machines, which are largely manufactured under a time-to-market philosophy to minimize costs. These chipsets often lack a secure element, SE, a dedicated space for isolated cryptographic storage. This void allows for physical side-channel attacks, where hackers observe the chip's physical behavior, such as power consumption, power analysis, or leaked electromagnetic emissions during processing, to reverse engineer passwords or digital keys without ever needing to exploit a software bug. You might wonder, wait, even my coffee machine can be hacked? And what exactly would a hacker gain from it? The notion of a scammer infiltrating the chip of a Wi-Fi coffee machine is far from science fiction. It occurs through a clearly defined three-tier mechanism. It begins at the digital door, the internet connection. Most smart coffee machines connect to a manufacturer's cloud server for remote app control. This is the starting point for target scanning. Hackers use tools like Shodan, a search engine for IoT devices, to find specific makes and models with unpatched vulnerabilities. Since many machines use legacy protocols like Telnet or HTTP, lacking encryption, hackers can send commands directly to the device as easily as walking through an unlocked front door. Next comes the firmware exploit. Once connected, the hacker targets the brain of the machine. Due to a lack of code signing, many budget IoT chipsets do not verify the integrity of their software. Hackers can update the machine with a malicious firmware image, embedding a permanent backdoor. Alternatively, they use buffer overflow techniques to overwhelm the chip with more data than it can handle, causing a system crash that opens a portal for rogue commands. This transforms your kitchen appliance into a zombie device, a puppet under the hacker's permanent control. Finally, at the deepest level, they perform hardware side-channel attacks. Even with a complex password, high-resolution signal receivers can analyze power consumption and electromagnetic pulses to extract the Wi-Fi password stored in main memory, simply because the cheap chip lacks an isolated secure element. The question remains, once they are in, what is the prize? The true goal isn't to know when you enjoy your morning latte. Instead, the coffee machine serves as a bridgehead, the weakest link in your Wi-Fi chain. Hackers use it as a base for lateral movement, jumping to your smartphone or laptop on the same network to steal banking credentials or private data. There are also cases of ransomware, where hackers lock the machine into a malfunction, such as continuously dispensing boiling water or emitting loud noises, demanding a Bitcoin ransom to stop. Furthermore, tens of thousands of compromised machines can be consolidated into a botnet to launch distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks or serve as a relay for phishing emails, all without the owner's knowledge. This raises the question, will Shodan continue to be a tool for these exploits indefinitely? In a world where everything from cameras to power plants is connected, the critical question is no longer, is someone watching us, but who is watching, and are we aware of it? Shodan was born as a search engine for the connected, not a hacking tool. It doesn't bypass passwords or breach systems. It merely scans what the owner has already exposed to the world, such as open ports and service banners. While high-level hackers often have their own proprietary scanners and botnets, Shodan remains a primary point of reference. The creator of Shodan maintains that visibility is a prerequisite for protection. If you don't know what is exposed, you cannot defend it. However, for a well-funded scammer, a Shodan subscription is a negligible business cost compared to the ability to locate specific global targets in seconds. Shodan is the mirror that forces society to confront the reality that what we believe is hidden behind a screen is often laid bare for the entire world to see. The reason we remain defenseless today is a combination of manufacturer negligence, treating appliance security as an afterthought, and consumer unawareness, where devices are plugged in and left on default settings. This effectively invites a spy into our homes. This is why network segmentation is vital. Even if your coffee machine is breached, the hacker should not be able to jump to your phone. Furthermore, the surge in vulnerabilities is driven by hard-coded credentials, passwords set at the factory that are difficult to change, and the absence of firmware integrity checks, allowing backdoors to be permanently etched into the hardware. Ubiquitous surveillance. In the realm of tracking, we have entered the era of ubiquitous surveillance through synthetic aperture radar (SAR) satellite networks. Leading aerospace firms in the US and Finland now employ high-frequency X-band radio waves to create 3D reconstructions of the Earth's surface with a resolution as fine as 25 centimeters per pixel. SAR can see through canvas roofs, smoke, and even certain types of walls 24 hours a day. When integrated with 6G network data, which supports up to 10 million devices per square kilometer, the concept of disappearing from society becomes purely theoretical. Face recognition and gait analysis, analyzing how you walk, can now identify individuals with 99% accuracy, even in total darkness. This extends into military-grade technology repurposed for commercial use. The Black Hornet Nano, a drone the size of a sparrow, can navigate through air vents to map building interiors using thermal imaging. Systems like Stingray simulate cell towers to intercept IMSI numbers and communication data without the user's knowledge. This data is fed into massive platforms like Palantir's Gotham for predictive analysis. Through predictive profiling and wearables using PPG, light sensors to monitor blood flow, a digital twin of your psyche is created. These systems can predict your decisions up to 48 hours in advance with higher statistical accuracy than you could predict for yourself. According to the Global Privacy Index 2026, over 70% of data leaks originate from users unknowingly consenting to exhaustive privacy agreements. Why does hacking continue unabated? Hacking persists not because defense technology is stagnant, but because the digital economy makes attack permanently cheaper than defense. Personal data is the new oil, a strategic resource with immediate liquidity on the dark web. Global losses from cybercrime are projected to reach trillions of dollars annually by the mid-decade. Hacking is no longer the work of lone individuals. It is a multinational industry with dedicated R&D budgets and a sophisticated supply chain of attack tools. While an attacker only needs to find one weak point, a defender must protect every point, every second. This asymmetry is worsened by economic pressure on manufacturers to cut costs and speed up delivery, making security a secondary concern. Devices are built to be plug-and-play but not secure by design. When paired with AI-driven deception like deepfakes and advanced social engineering, hackers don't need to pick the digital lock. They simply convince the human to hand over the key. Common wisdom suggests that simply turning it off and on again, or wiping the device, should resolve any issue. However, in the 2026 landscape of high-tech espionage and cybercrime, unplugging, or performing a factory reset, is almost entirely ineffective against deep-seated malware. Here is an in-depth analysis of why these basic methods fail. Why unplugging is not the answer. Persistent malware. Unplugging a device cuts the power supply, which only clears data stored in volatile temporary memory, RAM. However, the behavior of modern malware infiltrating coffee machine chips or IoT devices is designed to be persistent, permanently embedded. Flash memory infiltration. The malware does not run in temporary cache. Instead, it writes itself into the primary non-volatile memory that stores the device's operating system, firmware. Therefore, the moment you plug the device back in, the chip loads the system along with the embedded malware. It is akin to a pathogen that has integrated into the device's genetic code, rather than mere dust settled on the surface. Bootkits. In high-level espionage equipment, malware embeds itself within the bootloader, the very first software the chip executes before even loading the operating system. This allows the malware to seize control of the device before any security protocols can even initialize. Why a factory reset fails to help? Most people believe that pressing the reset button restores the device to a pristine, out-of-the-box state. But in the reality of 2026, the compromised restore point, a factory reset instructs the system to delete user data and overwrite it with an original system image. However, if a hacker has successfully modified that original image, a technique known as manipulating the recovery partition, your reset becomes an act of self-reinstalling malware. Hardware-level backdoor. As noted previously, most IoT chipsets lack a firmware integrity check system. Hackers can create a backdoor at the hardware level. When you reset the software settings, this hardware door remains wide open, allowing the hacker to reconnect to the device via the internet within seconds. The scammer and economic dimension. Automated reinfection. Even assuming you manage to reset the device to a truly clean state, if you continue using the same router and haven't addressed the physical vulnerabilities. Scanning bots. Transnational scam syndicates utilize bots that scan the internet 24 hours a day. Once your coffee machine comes back online with its original, unpatched firmware, these bots detect it and re-inject the malware into the chip within less than 5 minutes. Zombie network. From an economic perspective, scammers view your coffee machine as a soldier in a botnet army. The value is not extracted through a one-time theft, but by using your device as a base to send fraudulent emails or launch attacks on other systems. Allowing you to reset the device easily would hurt their business model. Thus, they have developed embedding techniques that are extremely resilient to resets. Defense in depth. Building your personal fortress. To maintain a wall of secrecy in an age of insecure chipsets, you must employ a multi-layered defense. Network segmentation. Set up a dedicated Wi-Fi guest network/VLAN for all IoT devices to prevent them from accessing your primary banking/working devices. Hardware firewalls. Use routers that support packet inspection to automatically sever connections if a device behaves abnormally or contacts a suspicious foreign server. PUF technology. Physical unclonable functions prioritize devices that use a digital fingerprint, unique to the individual chip, to prevent cloning. Privacy hardening. Disable unnecessary features, GPS, microphones, and always update firmware to mitigate up to 90% of known risks. Physical protection. Install anti-reflective films on windows to thwart Lamphone systems and use Faraday cages, signal-blocking pouches, for your phone when absolute privacy is required. Household privacy checklist. Isolate IoT devices on a separate Wi-Fi network. Change the default password of your router and all cameras. Review app permissions. Disable mic, camera/GPS where not essential. Ensure all devices are running the latest firmware and antivirus. Use multi-factor authentication, MFA, via authenticator apps, not SMS. Keep communication devices away from areas where sensitive secrets are discussed. These measures are about narrowing the technological disparity between you and cybercriminals. In 2026, understanding that every breath is data is the only way to avoid becoming a victim in this voracious criminal economy. Hacking will not disappear because the digital world was designed to connect first, secure later. As long as this structure stands, cybercrime will remain a profitable venture.